Okay, so I have Onshape open, logged in. Um, you should have automatically, it should say my Onshape. Um, right now I can see some of the models that I've created, as well as some of the models that students have shared with me. I am just going to go to create and create a new document. I'm just going to call this, we'll call this class 6. With all the cancellations we've had, it's been a little bit confusing, but we're just going to call this class 6. I'm going to hit OK. Workspace is going to load. Alright, so we should be fairly familiar with this screen now. This is our workspace. I'm going to go over a couple things. I'm going to start out using a mirror tool. It's another kind of a more advanced tool that we can use. Very useful when we have symmetrical shapes. So what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of walk through how to create just a shape that looks like this. And we can see that it's got some nice symmetrical features, like these two walls here are identical. So we can use the mirror tool to create symmetrical features really easily. So that's what we're going to go over in this video. And we're also just going to review some of the basic steps as well. Okay, so first off, I'm just going to rename this. Let's see, I'm going to rename my Part Studio. So down in the bottom left, I'm going to click rename, and I'm going to call this, let's see, I'll say mirror example. Okay, hit enter there. Alright, so we renamed that. And remember that with the right click, if I click and drag, I can rotate my view. With the mouse wheel, I can zoom in and out, and it zooms to where my mouse is. So I can zoom in on a specific spot if I want. I can zoom in on the origin. And then if I click the mouse wheel down and hold it and move my mouse, I can pan side to side, up and down. Okay, so I'm going to create a sketch, and I'm going to create it on the top plane. Okay, so now that this view is kind of crooked on us, I'm going to just right click, and I want to go view normal to sketch plane. Okay, that flipped it, so we're still looking at, like, sideways at the top plane. So now I'm just going to go up to the top right and click this arrow button and rotate it around. There we go. Now I'm looking at the top plane straight on. Everything is nice and square to our view. And I'm just going to go up and create a center point rectangle. Start at the origin. I'll click there and I will click again. My units are in inches right now. So we see that out to about 3 and 2.5. Once I have my rectangle, I'm going to go up to the dimension tool, left click on that, and I can give this some dimensions. I didn't really look at how big that other part was, but I kind of have a guess, so I'm just going to say this is, we'll say it's 2 inches wide, and say it's maybe 3 inches long. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm just going to create the base of this model. I can go back here and just kind of give you guys a reminder. So I'm just going to kind of make this base here, and then we'll make the walls later with the mirror tool. Okay, so we go back, and we have our sketch. It's fully defined. I can tell by the black lines here, and it's fully enclosed because it's shaded on the inside of our sketch. So normally we could hit the green check mark and then continue on with the extrusion, or it leaves the extrusion option available for us in the sketch. So we can kind of take a shortcut here and just click the extrude button, and now it's going to show us a preview of what it would extrude at this point. So right now I'm going to set the depth down to 0.25. Again, that's in inches, so hit enter, changes my preview. I see sketch 1 there, and I go, okay, that's good. It's a new object, so that's good. Sketch region, automatically selected. I'll hit the green check mark, and now we have our base. And now for the walls, we can kind of turn our view a little bit, and I'm going to create a new sketch, and now I'm going to select this face. So I'm selecting the, I guess, be the left face. If we look at this from the top again, I'm just going to rotate my view so I can kind of see the left face here. If it works easier for you, go up in the top right, and you can easily click the left box up there. So for my sketch plane now, I'm going to click on the face of this object. Okay, so that's selected, and now I need to kind of draw in this shape. Okay, so there's a couple different ways we can do it. I'm just going to put a rectangle on the bottom and then draw in some lines for the angled portion. So I'm going to hover over this vertex, this corner right here, until it's highlighted and I see the coincident marker. Left click there, oops, and see what I did? I have the center point rectangle still selected. So I hit escape to get rid of that, and now I'm going to go back up here and I want to select the corner rectangle. So now I want to hover over that same corner, so it's coincident, click on it, and I'm just going to make this a little bit oversized so we can see here. Alright, that makes sense. There's kind of the bottom of it. I'm going to go ahead and define that right now. So I'm going to click on the corner rectangle to get rid of that tool, and then I'm going to click on, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. I'm going to click on the corner of the rectangle I just drew, and then I am going to click on the edge of this box that we've already drawn, I guess. And once I have those two selected, I see they're both selected because they're orange. I'm going to go up here and click on the Coincident Tool. So this basically constrains two things, and it's going to say that, okay, I want to put this point right on this line. So I click that, alright, and we see that move over and turns the this portion of our sketch black, so now we know that line is constrained. I'm going to go up and give it a dimension. I can just click on a side, and I'm going to say this is about 0.25 inches again. Hit enter. There we go. Now I'm not going to extrude quite yet. I'm now going to go back up and draw a line, and I'm going to click on the corner of our rectangle, and then I'm going to go up a little bit. Doesn't really matter how far you go at this point. If you can see, so I kind of went past it, the Onshape will kind of try to lock you to horizontal or vertical positions. So right now it's saying, okay, that's going to be parallel with the edge of the rectangle I just sketched. So that's good, that's what I want. So I can go in here and click, and now I just want some angle coming down, and I want to click on the top of that rectangle we just sketched. So that's coincident. Alright, I can hit escape. That gets rid of the line tool, and now we have the basic shape drawn out. I'm going to go back here and look and just kind of estimate. Alright, we'll throw some numbers on here. So I'm going to use my dimension tool, and I'm going to give the height of this angled portion, we'll say it's half an inch high, just there. So we have the 1/4 inch is our rectangle, and we have the 1/2 inch as this angled portion. And now there's a couple other ways I can define this blue line here. If we grab this, we see we can still move it around side to side. So what we can do, we can give this a length. So we'll say this top portion is maybe another 1/2 inch, and it's still blue, and what it needs is an angle now. So because we kind of have it at some undefined angle, we need to define that and tell it exactly what angle we want it at. So I'm going to click on, actually I'm going to click on the blue line, the angled line, and then I'm going to go and make sure the top of that rectangle is highlighted. I'm going to click on this line, and now it's going to show an angle here. I'm going to put in, I don't really know what it is, I'm just going to put in 45 degrees, and that looks pretty good. What I might do, actually, I think I'm going to extend this to 0.75 inches. So I just double clicked on the dimension, and you can edit it. So I put in 0.75, hit enter, and now we have our regions are fully enclosed, so the inside of it is shaded, and it's fully defined, so all of our lines are black. I'm going to hit the green check mark there. We can see our sketch. Now I want to extrude that. So I'm going to go extrude. It's asking me right away the faces and sketch regions to extrude. So I want to click on both of these. So you can see if I just click one, it's only going to extrude that one. I'm going to click on both of these. And you can see right now that it's going the wrong way, right? I don't want it to go that way. So I come over here and I can click these arrow buttons that are going to flip the direction of the extrude. Okay, so that looks good. And I'm going to change the depth to 0.25 inches. I'll hit enter there. That looks pretty good as well. And now there's one thing that I want to keep in mind here is up on the top we could do an add. It automatically went to add. Sometimes it'll be as new. We don't want new right now. So this is actually going to be creating a new part if I have this new selected. So I did it just to show you guys. You can know it's a new part, one, because it's a different color. See how this one's blue and this one turned kind of gray? And second, down in the bottom left below the feature tree, we can see that now we have one part and two part, or part one and part two. We don't want this. We want this all to be one part. So instead of doing new and saying that this extrude is going to be a new feature, we are going to go to add, and that's going to merge it in with the existing 3D portion that we already have done. In some cases, you might need to select merge with all, and that's just saying that if there were any other 3D objects kind of in here, it would merge with them. So it would all be the same part. So that you can leave checked, and that looks good. That's going to create one wall of our shape, and I'm just going to hit the check mark and go okay. That looks pretty good. I think my dimensions might be a little bit off, but I'm not too concerned. We get the basic idea. So once we have this, now we could go through all those steps again on this right face. Right, we could create a new sketch, draw it all out, dimension it, and create the same thing on this other side. But instead, a really quick way of doing it is going up on the top here, right in the middle of the screen kind of, and we have the mirror tool. So if you hover over it, it gives you a quick description. So you can select parts, features, or faces, and then you have to select a plane or a face to mirror around. So I'm going to click that. It brings up another window, and it's asking the entities I want to mirror. Okay, now this is really important that I got caught up on a few times before. Right now this drop down menu says part mirror. That means if I select this and mirror it, it's going to want to create a second part basically. I don't want that right now. So I want to change this from part mirror to feature mirror. Okay, that is really important. We don't use the part mirror very often. We want to use the feature mirror almost exclusively. So now it's going to say features to mirror. And I can either go and I can click on my model, what I want, so I can click there, and it fills in the Extrude 2. Or if I get out of that, I can go over here and I can select the Extrude 2 from my feature tree, right? Both of them will do the same thing. Then what it's asking is it's saying I need to select a mirror plane. Okay, so I can click on this and select a mirror plane. This is really easy now because I built the base of this on the top plane and I used a center point rectangle. So I know that the right plane is directly in the middle. So I can click on the right plane and immediately we see this feature mirrored across this plane. Okay, so that's a really quick way of creating symmetrical objects. Once I hit the green check mark, here we see we have this part created, and we only had to sketch out and extrude one side of this and then use the mirror tool to create the rest of it. Briefly, you can also, if you create a sketch, I'm just going to create a sketch. I'll just say it's on the back face here. The mirror tool is also available in sketches, so you can mirror portions or lines of a sketch. I don't really use this as much. For whatever reason, I just find it a little bit more difficult to visualize, and it's a little bit more finicky to use. But say, for example, I want to draw some lines in here, and if I want, I can go, all right, I want to mirror that, say, across this front face, and now it's asking me what entities to be mirrored, and now you can only select line segments. So you can see as I click on a line segment, it fills in on the other side of that mirror plane. Again, that's just showing you can use the mirror in a sketch. I generally don't do that as much. If I wanted to do something like this, I would create this shape and extrude it first and then just mirror it as a feature. I think that's a little bit easier. So that's it for the mirror tool. I will try to make another video here shortly on some revolving and linear patterns.